Hi guys, welcome to another movie crew review. Today we'll be reviewing Gladiator II.
The movie stars Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington.
So years after the first film, we follow Maximus' son Lucius as he is followed into the gladiator path like his father before him when he is taken from his home Nimbus. And we follow the events of the film playing out similar to the first one as political powers try to fight for Rome's freedom. So we'll get into the review today. And Moon, if you'd like to take us away.
Yep. So I haven't seen the first movie, and I've always heard people rave about how good that movie is. So I didn't have much expectations here. And just like Ridley Scott's filmography, I think the movie is just the same. In bits, it's very good, excellent, and in some parts, it's okayish. I think Paul Mescal, the fight scenes, he was pretty good, and it's always good to have Denzel being Denzel because he is Denzel. And the movie lacks in, it builds up very nicely to the first two acts, and when the third acts happen, it just fizzles out. I don't know, there were strange decisions and the end is very underwhelming. But if you're just going for, I guess, good fight scenes, it's an enjoyable movie. Cameron?
Yeah, like Moon, I have not watched the first one, so I went into this movie like Moon. You hear everything about the first one, how everyone raves about it, and for me, this one just felt lackluster. I just felt every character pretty much was very one-dimensional, so I didn't really care for most characters. Maybe on the exception of Ravi and the Denzel Washington's character. I thought he really carried the movie for me because his quirkiness just like broke up I don't know, it just was very bland. And I think the acting was good. I just think the characters weren't developed enough for me. Like the first opening scene sets up this love relationship between the main character and his wife, and then they want you to draw into the love and why he's doing what he's doing later on in the movie, and for me it just happened too quickly, so I didn't care for the characters or bond with them. So everything that happened during this movie was just pretty bland for me, but the fight scenes were cool. One standout fight scene for me was in the Colosseum with the rhino. I think that was the best looking one for me. It felt the most real and impactful. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was pretty mediocre. John?
Yeah, so I've seen the first film. I've seen it a couple times now, so I enjoyed that one a lot more than this one. I think the main problem I have with this film is, like Cameron and Moon were speaking about, the underdevelopment of the characters. It's just one of those things where the storyline seems to be a bit rushed at the start to get him to Rome. So in the first film, you take your time slowly getting to the Rome and to the Colosseum, and so you see smaller arena fights, and you understand why Russell Crowe's character has this hatred for both Rome and the emperor of the time, because he was like the leader, so you can understand where that's coming from. Whereas in this film, Paul Mescal's character just seems to hate Pedro Pascal for the sake of he represents the Roman army, and it doesn't really give it, like, his wife is killed at the start of the film, but it doesn't really give a lot of insight compared to the first one. It doesn't develop it as much as it did, so it's not as meaningful in my opinion. But I really like Denzel Washington's character. I think he was good fun. They've played a bit more into the camp in this one compared to the serious tones of the first one. So there's the twin emperors, but then you've got one of the emperors has this monkey that he makes into a consort, and it's just like I'm watching, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, come on. I did enjoy the fight scenes. I think they were really well done, especially the animation compared to the first one. All the CGI work, like seeing the Colosseum and the entry gates to Rome, I think was done really good. the animals were probably a bit lackluster in my opinion, especially the monkeys at the first fight scene. They kind of look like some mutant monkey.
What were they?
You know, they just look
Yeah.
terrible. It was a shock, to be honest with you, that the monkeys, the rhino looked good, but the monkeys look absolutely terrible. Especially when they got that little tiny monkey that looked relatively good. So,
I actually was like thinking, what is this thing? Like,
Yeah.
is like a mutant? I don't know.
but yeah, I think the main draw for me for this film was Denzel Washington's character. He's funny. He's in a different outfit every single scene. He's climbing the ladder of success, and who knows where it will take him. But I think if you watch this film, it's mainly appealing to the people who want to like a popcorn film just to see an epic with large scale fight scenes. Like even the first one at the start where ships are on the water and they're fighting in Nimbus, that was pretty spectacular to watch, and seeing all the catapults, something that the first film didn't have. But even the Colosseum, like when they flooded it, that's more like the spectacle as opposed to fitting the story, if that makes sense, in my opinion. And I think it's just the sake of we've got good technology. But then you go and add sharks, which is like, why? what is a shark's going to do? You already shot the guy in the chest. He's going to die in the water. So let's just feed him to a shark. It's these little nitpicky things that, you know, when you got a film that won 5 Academy Awards and makes a sequel, you want something a bit more like Top Gun Maverick and not so much like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But just harping onto your epicness, I think just the first scene was epic,
Yeah,
but everything
that was-
else felt very small.
Yeah.
Like, because every other fight was in the arena. So it didn't make it feel a lot smaller, which I didn't mind. It just, like you said, like everyone preempts this epic war-esque fights and like thousands versus thousands, and it's just all in the arena, which they did well, but yeah, I think it fell very short of an epic as opposed to just.
I get what you mean.
It was a good mediocre movie.
I was more hooked to the political side, like at least for a while.
Yeah,
But
with Denzel climbing that ladder. I mean, for me, he kind of got me through the slow bit, if that was to make sense, of that middle part of the film where there's a lot of
nothingness. Yeah.
But see, that's where the first film, he starts off and you get, say, about 20, 25 minutes of the life beforehand. Then we get him in exile, slave, becoming... So we're like an hour into the film before we even get to Rome. So when you get to the Colosseum, it's like,
Wow.
wow, it's epic. Whereas this film, we have this epic fight scene at the start and you think, ooh, okay, maybe we're going to go slow. And it's like within 20 minutes, you're at the Colosseum.
Yeah.
You've like blown the shot. That's it. It's like, once you're at the Colosseum, there's no mega Colosseum right up the hill or something. It's like there's one. And once I have the first fight scene, by the third one, you're like,
Yeah,
you know,
correct.
We've had the monkeys, now we've had the rhino, now we're going to fill it with water, and then it loses its luster. And especially like the Pedro Pascal, that's pretty much a rehashing of like similar to the end of the first film.
Okay.
So in terms of the actual story for it, I just think that it was too much of the same, but in not so much of an epic way. So I just think that with Ridley Scott, sometimes the sequels are hit and miss. For this, I think it was a bit more miss than hit.
No, they're always miss, I think.
But yeah, I just think it sold more than what it gave, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I think we all love Denzel's character because that had the most growth. His character had the most growth, and he was actually the most intriguing. And he was, out of all the characters, he was the least straightforward. You could sort of see everyone's character, where they're going to go in the end. But it kept you guessing a little bit, and it's just like, so that's why I think we're all drawn to that character, because it's probably the best written character, whereas the other ones are probably rehashes and just your generic, slashy, and heroic type character.
And he did emote more emotions, like the main guy had just one face throughout the whole
Pascal
movie.
was just like movie star face. Like, I don't know other way to describe it, but you know, it just had the very
I don't even know him much. Like, I don't think I've seen him before, so.
I think this is his big break, but it's
Okay.
broken. So
Yeah, but with that, I didn't mind the acting. Like, I thought looking at him and the way he spoke was great. It was just the character.
No,
I just
even
didn't
like
like
when
it.
he's, giving the speech,
Yeah.
sort of.
Because
He
he's
doesn't
done
have
it
that
3
braveheart.
times in the movie.
I know.
By the 3rd time, you're just like, oh yeah, we're doing this again.
But see, that's where like Russell Crowe in that whole film doesn't really give one of those speeches, and somehow
Yeah.
comes off as a more like powerful character, a more like stronger leadership kind of character. And in that film, spoilers if you haven't seen it, it's like 24
Oh,
years
no,
old.
don't spoil it for me.
But there's a reason why Russell Crowe isn't in this film, and that's the impactful part of that film. But I mean, like, just the Paul Mescal character just didn't really grab me at all. He's generic Gladiator. I know everybody's going to say it's hard to live up to Russell Crowe's shoes, but in some respect, I think if he had played the Russell Crowe character back then, say that film was like now, we got that storyline, I think it would have been a lot better of a film, because it's just they focus on, say, 2 characters and they develop them through the whole film. So you got your Emperor and you got your Gladiator. They're developed in the film. Whereas this, we've got focus on Denzel, focus on the king, the emperors. You got Connie, who's doing the Secret Mother, all this stuff, trying to develop her character. It just gets a bit much, even though it feels like it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think, the film. It feels like there was bits missing, but it was too long at the same time. Very hard to explain, very strange.
They could have shaved off at least 20 minutes, I think.
I think they could have just taken one scene,
The Colosseum
scene out. Yeah. Just had like one animal scene, just chucked all the animals in one hit, then just done the water thing and gone on from there. I don't think we need all of them.
All right, guys, we're going to give our scores.
Yeah.
Moon, how many Colosseums out of 10?
I gave it 6 Colosseums out of 10.
John?
I'll give it 7 Colosseums out of 10.
And I'll give it 5.5 Colosseums out of 10. All right, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, check out our socials, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.